All right, welcome back everyone. It's the NFL Exporter. February 2015. Again, we're a few months away from the NFL draft. We are currently reviewing our 2014 draft class to see what type of players made an immediate impact and what we can expect for them in the future. Now let's move on to round number 3. You had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers picking up running back Charles Sims for West Virginia. Injured this year, so really didn't get to see him on the tail end of the season. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, one of the worst teams in the NFL at running the football. The thing that really stood out about Sims to Tampa Bay was his ability to catch the football out of the backfield as well. You certainly like to have a diverse 3-down running back. Tampa Bay right now in the midst of trying to figure out what they're going to do with a very stacked backfield. You figure they have Doug Martin, they have Bobby Rainey, they have Mike James. Now you enter in Charles Sims. So I think it's going to be a fierce competition for that starting running back job in Tampa Bay next year. Guys fighting over who's going to get the timeshare. Sims are going to be in the fold. Let's see how it works out. The kid certainly has some nice potential. San Francisco 49ers were able to go out and get a center, Marcus Martin. That was a huge need they needed to fill. The young guy from USC came in immediately, was a perfect fit. I think going to school at USC and then going a couple hours up north to play for San Francisco certainly did this kid wonders. Able to stay within the confines that he's familiar with. A guy that you really like because you heard early on in the season that he's vocal in the locker room. And that's the type of communication and leadership you like to see from your young guy. This guy's going to be a staple, really help that San Francisco 49ers offensive line continue to flourish. Next, you had the Buffalo Bills going out and getting linebacker Preston Brown from Louisville. Kid was absolutely outstanding. You figured the Bills had to play without their star linebacker Kiko Alonso this year. So going out and getting free agent Brandon Spikes, pairing them up inside with Preston Brown certainly did this Bills defense huge wonders. And again, you love when your rookies can get on the field and have the playing time, have the experience. This Bills defense, one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. I don't see that changing this year. Preston Brown, now with that year of experience under his belt, going to be even more an effective player next year. St. Louis Rams, you see these guys, the first 3 rounds, really getting it done. Now going out, addressing the running back issue that they needed to address, I should say, getting Trey Mason, one of the best running backs to come out of last year's draft from Auburn. This young guy, when he got his opportunity, took full control and never looked back. Was able to supersede or overstep Zach Stacy, who had been there. Got Benny Cunningham, some other guys, but Trey Mason, very effective, running inside, has the explosiveness to get outside. We've seen him have an 89-yard touchdown run, so we know that this guy can take it the distance. A player with a mean streak. You have to like Trey Mason. I think he's going to be the featured primary ball carrier out for St. Louis next year. San Francisco 49ers doing a great job. These in the 3rd round here, that first pick with Marcus Martin, they picked up from Jacksonville. This pick here, they picked up from Tennessee. Went out and got impact linebacker Chris Borland from Wisconsin. What a timely pick this was. If you think about the 49ers linebacking core this year, coming into last season, 49ers had the best 4 set of linebackers you were going to find in the league when you were talking about Ahmad Brooks, Aldon Smith, Patrick Willis, and Navarro Bowman. Coming into this year, Patrick Willis was there, but he was battling injuries. He ended up missing the rest of the season after week 7. Navarro Bowman, due to a nasty injury in last year's NFC Championship game, he missed the entire year. Aldon Smith missed 9 games due to off-the-field issues. And so Borland coming in, got up to a little bit slow of a start, but man, I tell you, the second half of the season, once this guy got the wheels churning, never looked back, nose around the football, double-digit tackles. This guy is excellent. Now the 49ers have some depth at linebacker, and without question, they've got some key decisions to make with Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, Ahmad Brooks, paying no guys. And so I think Chris Borland, excellent pickup, had the experience, high motor, high impact player. Love that pick there. Baltimore Ravens went out and got safety Terrence Brooks from Florida State. Young guy struggled mightily. That certainly was the weakness of this Baltimore Ravens team, was their secondary, in particular their back end, especially when you factor in they had a second-year guy playing at the opposite safety. And so, Baltimore willing to take the risk, nasty front 7, hoping it could ease the pressure a little bit. But Brooks, look, was on the football field, got the experience. You're certainly hoping that he can make the necessary strides to be better next year. Chicago Bears went out and got defensive tackle Will Sutton from Arizona State. Young guy certainly did a nice job this year. Again, the Bears defense overall, just pathetic. But you like the fact he was able to get out there and get the experience. He's certainly going to be a part of that new youth movement, just trying to get things back to some considerable pride for the Chicago Bears defense, which was really bad last year. Philadelphia Eagles went out and got Josh Huff, wide receiver from Oregon, a player that Chip Kelly very familiar with. Huff played under Kelly when he was still at Oregon. Huff certainly also not only as a wide receiver, making his presence felt in the special teams game. Had a kickoff return this year, and I like Josh Huff a lot. A young guy who's going to get out there, again, has the versatility to play special teams, but also be a wide receiver in that wide open spread offense out in Philadelphia. Another wide receiver, yes, Dante Moncrief from Ole Miss came in, did a great job for the Indianapolis Colts this year. Reggie Wayne, he's pretty much on his way out. And then you're figuring outside of him, Hakeem Nicks came in, didn't quite make the impact, and that's what left the door open for Moncrief. Worked his tail off. Young guy, very effective, had a nice touchdown in the Colts home playoff game. And so the young guy has a ton of potential. Growing with a quarterback like Andrew Luck, I think him and T.Y. Hilton are certainly going to be your primary receivers moving forward for Indianapolis. How about another wide receiver? We're talking about John Brown from the Arizona Cardinals. Brown was the fastest wide receiver at last year's NFL draft. Young guy from Pittsburgh State, and you've certainly seen that blazing speed on display. Able to really utilize his quickness in short areas, working the slot, but also getting downfield. And so I think this is a nice addition for Arizona, a team with Larry Fitzgerald. You know, he's kind of getting on the tail end of his career. You still have Michael Floyd, but that wide receiver position up in the air, I think John Brown, the guy who's going to be an excellent fit working out of the slot for Arizona. Cleveland Browns, nice job. This is a draft pick they got from San Francisco, going out and getting running back Terrence West from Townsend, from Townsend. This guy, certainly a lot of potential. I love his quickness. He's got a nice shake in his hip. Had trouble holding onto the football, and that's certainly what you expect from young running backs, making that adjustment, having to secure the football. But this guy certainly has a lot of potential. The Cleveland Browns in the offseason last year went and got Ben Tate. Didn't work out. They cut him. Now it's just West and Isaiah Crowell. I think that running back competition going to be a lot more effective. It's just a matter of which guy Cleveland wants to really focus on giving the ball to. It's going to be hard. Isaiah Crowell, a very hard runner, a rookie free agent pickup as well. But Terrence West, nice job that he did in his rookie campaign. We had a chance to see him live on Thursday Night Football, racked up 94 yards and a touchdown in a nice win Cleveland had over Cincinnati. Minnesota Vikings got a draft pick from the Seattle Seahawks, did a great job going out and getting running back Jerick McKinnon from Georgia Southern. They already had Matt Asiata, who was more of a plotter, a guy who was inside your power back. Well, now you have McKinnon, the guy with some nice speed, can really do some damage when he's in the open field. Certainly has a lot of shake and bake in this game, some nice hands. It came in handy because Adrian Peterson, due to off-the-field issues, unable to play this year. We got a chance to see McKinnon in the starting role, and he's a player who I think as he continues to get better, certainly has a lot of upside and potential. We don't know what's going to happen in Minnesota, but if Adrian Peterson is not back, you'd have to think that Jerick McKinnon has the inside track to being the starting running back for Minnesota next year. Pittsburgh Steelers picked up Dre Archer, running back from Kent State. We heard a lot of buzz about this kid in the preseason, but due to battling injuries for the most part, unable to get on the football field, was still behind LeGarrette Blount, who left about halfway through the season, but really running back Le'Veon Bell emerged into a star this year. He is the starter in Pittsburgh. That is not going to change for a long time. So I think for Archer, now you have the depth, and Pittsburgh just has to find some ways to get this kid involved in their offense. And then the Green Bay Packers went out and got Richard Rodgers. Again, I tell you, the Green Bay Packers really know how to draft. If you look at Andrew Curlis, a veteran who Green Bay may decide to part ways with in the future, especially looking at how Richard Rodgers plays, really shows some sure hands, nice route running, nice quickness, was able to line up in the slot, score a 34-yard touchdown against the New England Patriots in a regular season game. And so this is a guy, without question, he should be the starter next year for Green Bay. Now let's move over to round number 4. Atlanta Falcons did a nice job picking up Devonta Freeman, running back from Florida State. Had a nice 30-yard touchdown in Week 16 on the road against the New Orleans Saints. Look, the situation there, they really don't have a running back. Jaquez Rodgers has been there for years. Obviously, Atlanta not sold on him. They haven't made him the starter yet. And Steven Jackson only has about a year or two left. And so Devonta Freeman, another guy who I would not be shocked to see as the full-time starter or getting a lion's share of work next year if he puts the work in the offseason. San Francisco 49ers went out and got wide receiver Bruce Ellington from South Carolina. If you look at San Francisco's receivers, you have uncertainty around Michael Crabtree, and Quan Bolden only has a year or two left. And so I think Ellington, nice pickup there, allow him to get in, start learning the offense, develop under some other talented wide receivers. We've seen them in Week 16 in the NFL season. 2 touchdowns, but also a very costly fumble in that San Francisco debacle loss against San Diego. Nonetheless, young guy certainly has some nice potential. New York Giants did an excellent job being able to cash in on Andre Williams, running back from Boston College. He led the NCAA in rushing prior to coming out into the draft. As we had a chance to see, Rashard Jennings, the free agent pickup from New York, who's very talented, struggled with injuries. And so Williams able to come in, have over 700 yards as a rookie, really showed some nice explosion, showed the power, just has to hang on to the football. It's probably going to be a very fierce competition between him and Jennings in training camp next year, but great job by Andre Williams as a rookie for the Giants. I think you look at the Giants with Odell Beckham Jr. and Andre Williams, 2 guys at your skill position, having a chance to see some players who should pay some big time dividends for your franchise for a very long time to come in the future. Pittsburgh Steelers, nice pickup here. Martavis Bryant, wide receiver from Clemson, young guy at 6'4", really got off to a hot start once Ben Roethlisberger and that offense got rolling. Had a stretch where he had 6 TD receptions in 5 games. Just really looked good out there. He's a guy who's going to continue to flourish. You figure Antonio Brown's on the other side, who's going to attract a ton of coverage. Marcus Wheaton was the guy who was in his second year we all thought was going to be the starter, but Bryant really stepped up. I think next year he's going to be much more polished. I like this kid a lot. Great pickup for Pittsburgh. Seattle Seahawks going out and getting wide receiver Kevin Norwood, as we mentioned before. Jermaine Kearse and Doug Baldwin are your staple receivers in Seattle. But again, neither one of those guys bona fide superstars. So like Paul Richardson, the wide receiver they picked up from Colorado, similar situation with Norwood. Not a ton of playing time, but certainly shows some nice potential. I think how hard he works will determine how much playing time he's going to get next year. Kansas City Chiefs did a nice job going out and getting DeAnthony Thomas, running back / wide receiver from Oregon. Young guy came in, paid immediate dividends, especially in the special teams game, which is where his bread and butter was, even at Oregon. This guy had a punt return, a kickoff return, also showed some nice flexibility, getting out in the wide receiver game, some bubble screens, some wide receiver screens, a lot of explosion. DeAnthony Thomas, nice pickup there by Kansas City. And then rounding out your 4th round, Baltimore Ravens went out and got Lorenzo Taliaferro, running back from Coastal Carolina. You figure with the way that things worked out with Ray Rice, we had no idea how that running game was going to end up working out in Baltimore. Justin Forsett, the free agent pickup, came over and ended up being the starter. You also had Bernard Pierce there, battled injuries, seemed to just kind of fall out of favor. And so Lorenzo Taliaferro certainly got some playing time this year, looked effective. He's got to do a better job of holding on to the football. That's something that rookie running backs have an issue with. But I like Taliaferro. Young guy, Justin Forsett, a veteran. We certainly think that he's a keeper, and at some point could end up being your primary ball carrier in Baltimore, depending on how things work out there. Moving over now to round 5, really only 2 picks that stood out to me here in this round. We're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs going and getting Aaron Murray, quarterback from Georgia. Look, Alex Smith only has a couple years left. Now, granted, Smith doesn't take a lot of big hits. He's a very smart quarterback, and so I don't know how long he continues to play, but I think more than anything, we'll see if Murray can press the envelope. If you remember, Chase Daniels is there as well. So I think with Aaron Murray, just a kid who did a lot of good things at Georgia, you wonder, is he going to be a backup for his entire career, or could he possibly, I guess especially once Alex Smith goes by the wayside, battle Chase Daniels to be that starting quarterback in Kansas City? Same holds true here for Cincinnati and A.J. McCarron. Look, let's face it. We know that Andy Dalton got signed to a long-term contract, so that's probably the thing that's going to keep him in favor and on the football field for a long time. But if his play continues to be inconsistent, or I should say if his play is inconsistent, you wonder, can McCarron, your quarterback from Alabama, can at any time he possibly press Andy Dalton to take over that starting role, or is he just going to end up being a backup as well? We move over to the 6th round. Only 2 guys really stood out to me here. Great job by the Tennessee Titans, able to solidify their franchise quarterback. I'm talking about Zach Mettenberg, quarterback from LSU. Finally got his opportunity. He looked very good in the preseason. Jake Locker was a starter there. They were trying to give Locker one last chance in the last year of his contract to do a great job, but just unable to stay healthy, which has been a problem his whole career. Once Mettenberger, able to get in there, look very good. Very young offense in Tennessee. They can build an offensive line around him and get a running game. Zach Mettenberg, I think, has a huge upside and potential. I would not be surprised to see him be a very good quarterback in the NFL at some time if they can get the right pieces in place. And then the New York Jets went out and got Tajh Boyd, quarterback from Clemson. Look, Geno Smith, he's not getting a job done in New York. I think we all know that. How long will they decide to go with Smith? He is going to be entering the final year of his contract next year, and so can Tajh Boyd possibly put the work in? Does he have the mechanics? Does he have the tools? Can he make it work in New York? I think overall what's going to help New York's situation as a whole is just getting better talent to surround whoever the quarterback is. But we'll keep our eyes on Tajh Boyd and see if he could possibly push Geno Smith for that starting job this year. And then in our last round 7, Detroit Lions went out and addressed an area they needed, getting a kicker in Nate Freeze. Unfortunately for Freeze, inconsistent, had the starting job, end up being cut for missing too many field goals. And then, of course, we all know the story and the hype, all the media attention that the St. Louis Rams got for drafting Michael Sam, defensive end from Missouri. Just in my personal opinion, I think this was another sympathy pick, kind of like we've seen out of Johnny Manziel with the Cleveland Browns. I think it was just a situation where, teams in the NFL didn't want to have this whole thing going around that he wasn't picked due to his sexual preference, being gay and things of that nature. And so young man got out there, worked hard, gave it his best shot. Unfortunately, just not good enough to make the Rams roster. And, who knows? We'll see what his prospects in the future hold, but just wasn't a solid enough player to make an NFL team. That's going to round up our 2014 NFL Draft. As always, you know where to find me. Follow me on Twitter at NFLExporter, or send a friend request to me on Facebook.com/NFLExporter. The spelling for both of those is NFLExporter. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you guys again in a couple months when we take a look at how things shook out in the 2015 NFL Draft.